In the village of Archaea, hidden among emerald green hills and soft blue rivers, there lived a young boy named Chemo. Chemo wasn't like other children. He had a secret: he was a wizard. But not the kind you read about in fairy tales with magical castles and flying brooms. Chemo's magic was small, simple, and gentle. Chemo had a book, a very special book. It was old and worn, the cover soft from years of use. It wasn't full of spells to change the world, but instead, it held spells to make the world a little brighter, a little kinder. One sunny afternoon, Chemo sat by the big willow tree in his village, flipping through the pages of his spellbook. He found a spell called the Spell of Happy Hearts. The words were simple: when you want to make hearts light, share a smile, warm and bright. Chemo smiled and whispered the words aloud. As soon as he spoke, a tiny sparkle rose from the book, floating into the air. Chemo looked around and saw that people in the village were smiling more than usual. Old Tio Ramiro, who always seemed serious, was now laughing with a child. Laney, his best friend, skipped happily through the village humming a tune. Chemo felt proud. It was a small spell, but it seemed to make the day a little better for everyone. He closed the book and decided to walk to the river. When Chemo reached the river, he saw his friend Mia sitting on a rock by the water. Her face was sad, and her shoulders were slumped. Chemo sat down beside her and asked, "What's wrong, Mia?" Mia looked up, her eyes full of tears. "I lost my cat, Momo," she said, sniffing. "I don't know where she went." Chemo thought for a moment. He opened his spellbook and found the spell of lost things. It was simple: when things are lost and hard to find, send out hope and peace of mind. Chemo whispered the spell and imagined Momo finding her way back home. He held out his hand to Mia and said, "Let's go look together. Maybe she's closer than we think." Together, they walked through the village, calling Momo's name. After a while, they reached the edge of the woods. And there, under a tree, was Momo, curled up and resting. Mia's face lit up with joy, and she ran to hug her cat. "Thank you, Chemo," Mia said, her eyes sparkling. "I knew you could help me." Chemo smiled. "The magic is inside you, Mia. You just needed to believe." The next morning, Chemo went to the village square, where a group of children were playing. He saw his friend Tanny sitting on the ground, frowning. She was holding a toy, but she didn't seem to want to share it with the others. Chemo walked over and sat beside her. "Why don't you want to play, Tanny?" he asked. Tanny crossed her arms. "I don't want anyone else to play with my toy. What if they break it?" she said, looking worried. Chemo nodded and took out his spellbook. He found the spell of sharing hands. It read, "When something's yours and you feel scared, share it with love and show you care." Chemo whispered the spell softly, then looked at Tanny. Sometimes, when we share, we show others that we trust them. You can still keep your toy, but letting others play with it will make everyone happy. Tanny hesitated but then smiled. She stood up and held out the toy. "Who wants to play?" she asked. The other children ran over, laughing and excited. They played together, sharing the toy and having fun. Chemo watched, feeling proud of his friend. The spell wasn't just about magic, it was about trusting others and opening your heart. Later that day, Chemo visited his grandmother, Abuela Inaya, who lived at the edge of the village. She was sitting outside in her rocking chair, knitting a soft scarf. Her long silver hair swayed gently in the breeze. Chemo sat down next to her. "Abuela, how do you know when magic is real?" he asked. Abuela smiled at him with her wise eyes. "Magic is real, Chemo, but it's not always the way you think. Magic isn't just about spells. Magic is the love we give, the kindness we share, and the hope we carry." Chemo thought about her words, feeling them settle in his heart. He realized that the spells in his book were just tools, but it was his actions that truly made a difference. The next day, the village was preparing for the Festival of Colors, a celebration of life and togetherness. The air smelled of sweet fruit, and everyone was busy decorating their homes with flowers and ribbons. But in the middle of all the excitement, Chemo noticed something. The village elder, Abdu, was sitting alone by the fire. He looked tired and sad. Chemo walked over and sat beside him. "Why are you sitting here all alone, Abdu?" he asked gently. Abdu sighed. "I am old, Chemo. I've seen so many festivals come and go, but now I feel like I don't belong. I don't have the strength to dance or run like the others." Chemo thought for a moment and opened his book. He found the spell of quiet joy. The words were simple: "When the world feels fast and loud, find peace and joy within the crowd." Chemo whispered the spell, then looked at Abdu. "You don't need to dance to be part of the celebration, Abdu. Just being here, with us, is enough. Your presence is a gift." Abdu looked at Chemo with grateful eyes. "Thank you, Chemo. You remind me that I am still a part of this village, no matter how old I am." As the festival began, Chemo stayed close to Abdu. Together, they watched the children dance and laugh, and the air was filled with music. Chemo didn't need to cast any more spells. The village was alive with love and joy, and Chemo felt it in his heart. In the days that followed, Chemo continued to use his spellbook to help others. He didn't cast spells all the time, but when someone needed a little magic, he was ready. He helped his friend Seifu, who was afraid of the dark, with the spell of brave dreams. He helped Lainey, who was feeling nervous about her first big race, with the spell of steady feet. But it wasn't always about casting spells. Sometimes, Chemo found that just listening to someone or sharing a quiet moment was the best kind of magic. One evening, when the stars were twinkling brightly above the village, Chemo sat with his grandmother again. They were quiet, watching the night sky together. "Abuela," Chemo asked softly, "do you think magic can change the world?" Abuela Inaya smiled gently. "Magic can change the world, Chemo, but it's not about casting big spells or making grand things happen. True magic is in the little things, the way we care for each other, the way we share our hearts." Chemo thought about her words, feeling the truth in them. He realized that he didn't need a big spell to change the world. All he needed was kindness, love, and hope. The next morning, Chemo packed his bag and set off to visit a neighboring village. He wanted to share his magic with others, to show them the power of a kind word, a warm smile, and a helping hand. He didn't know what adventures awaited him, but he was ready. As Chemo walked down the path, the sun shining down on his face, he felt the magic inside him growing stronger. It was the kind of magic that came from the heart. And with that, Chemo knew that no matter where he went, he would always carry his little spell book, and the biggest magic of all, love. And so, the little wizard's journey continued, not to change the world with spells, but to change it with his heart.